All right, everyone. Good to have you join us today on April 16th, 2020. We're going to be waiting for a couple more people to come in. Hello, Mac. Good to see you here. We're just going to wait for a couple people to come in and then we'll get started. Hello, John. Hello, Camilla. Two-month anniversary with your guitar. Are you good now? Did quarantine help you? Did quarantine help you get much better at guitar? Hi, Alexandra. That's good. I look forward to listening to your guitar, Chris, when we come back to school. We still only have 8 people watching right now. That's not very good. Where is the rest of our crew? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Ibrahim. Good to have you join us. I think it's your first time you typed here, actually, in chat. That's good. Waiting 2 more minutes at around 1:05. Oh, you've been here for all the time, but never said anything. Alright, true. I just can't check who's actually watching. That's why I wouldn't know. So that's good. Well, right now we are missing a lot of people, and I don't know why. Does anyone know if other teachers are running classes right now that I don't know of? That people might not be able to make it out today? Because I'm trying to check attendance right now, and we should have like 23, 24 people. But we're missing like 15. And Ibrahim, you gotta finish your quiz. You gotta hand in that quiz for me. Hello, Anna. Alright, I'm just gonna wait 1 more minute because 8 people is very little right now, which makes me a little worried. I don't want to teach a full lesson if it's only 8 people. But we'll see. We'll see. For those of you here right now, we had 2 pieces of homework, or well, 1 piece of homework with 2 questions on it. It was this one coming onto the screen right now, and it was this. Okay, so we had our 2 graphs that I asked you to do, right? So this was from on Tuesday. So let's go over this, and I feel like I think we should just do a lesson tomorrow because we're missing so many people. So I'll save the lesson for tomorrow, for today, tomorrow. I feel like that's a better choice because we have so little people watching right now. But we'll have to see. I was hoping to take up the quiz tomorrow, but we'll adjust. Maybe we'll do half of the lesson today and then only do the second half tomorrow or something like that. Maybe that might be a better idea. Okay, so we have our graphing. I looked at some of your quizzes like this morning. Some of you are not listening to my instructions. In other words, you are copying the numbers in the chart right onto your scale. Stop doing that. You are not copying these numbers right onto the scale. That is not how scales work. If you are doing that, you need to stop. Okay? That is not how you create scales. I never copied my numbers from here, which means you should never do that either, unless I tell you to. Okay? The only time you can copy these numbers onto your scales, okay? The only time you can do that is if they are equally spaced out. These numbers are not equally spaced out. You have no reason to copy those down. So make sure you understand. Okay? This here. You cannot copy down unless they're equally spaced out. But let's go over this. If we're looking at cell phone usage and dishwasher usage, the first thing you should write down is the titles, right? So we should know X and Y. X is on the left, Y is on the right. And we should also understand X is here. Okay? Which means we should write down, whoops, our title. If you didn't write down your title on your quiz, you technically got a question wrong if there was a title. Okay? On this is your Y, so we write dishwasher usage. Hi Hart, good to see you. Hi Hans. Okay, cell phone usage, dishwasher usage. Okay, so these two here. And if we have a title, I'd write something like dishwasher versus cell usage, right? In other words, Y versus X. That should always be your title. Y versus X. So now we have that. Our next step is to create our scale. We know that 0 starts here. Okay? The lowest number we have here is 41.8. And we need to go all the way to 58.9, or essentially 59 or 60. Okay? So how would we do this? Maybe we do something going up by fives or something like that. So for example, I'm gonna start with a break here because we have to skip from 0 to 41. That's a huge skip. We're ignoring all those numbers, so we need a break here to indicate that we're skipping. Then I'm gonna start from 40, and maybe every 2 I'm gonna go 45, 50, 55, 60. Something like that. Okay? Maybe we could have done every 3? Yeah, maybe. But that's okay. So we have 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. On the left side, right, it's a little bit different. Our lowest number is 51.2. Our highest number is 56. Which means we are going to have to use another break. But the difference here is that for this one, we can start at like 51. But we only need to go up to 56. So I can really do something like this. Right? Where I can go every 2 squares is 1 number increase. I'm not copying down the numbers here. This should be a clear example for all of you. I don't have any decimals here. I'm not copying the chart down on my scale. All of this right now, all of this information on your screen right now, this is 5 marks total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 marks total. Okay? Graphing is just your 6th mark. Can you graph correctly? And then you only get half mark if you only plot half of them correctly. So let's go through carefully. 41.8. 40 to 45, 41.8 is probably somewhere around here. And we need to go up to 51.2, so maybe I'd say there. That's 41.8 and 51.2, so that's the first one. We'll check that off. The second one, 47.6 and 52, so 47.6 would be somewhere here. Yeah, so this would be 47.6 here, right? Somewhere close to that middle line, and then 52, so maybe somewhere right there. Okay, so we have that down. Second one's good. Next one, 51.6 and 54.3. Okay, so 51.6 and 54.3. 51.6 is probably somewhere around here. 54.3, like that, and then check that off. Okay. And then the next one, 54, 55. 54 would be somewhere around here. 55 going up somewhere here. And then 58.9 and 56. So 58.9 would be somewhere here. And then 56 going all the way up right there. Okay. So that's what your chart should have looked like. If you haven't done that yet, this is what it should look like. Okay. So I'm gonna double check here. Okay. On the next question. But first, here, looking at this. So this is 6 marks. You have your title, you have your axis titles, you have your 2 scales with breaks if they have breaks, and then your graph. That's 6 marks. Later on, if you can draw a line of best fit, if I ask you, please draw me a line of best fit. If I ask you to draw a line of best fit, you take your ruler, you do something like this, and say, there's my line of best fit. That's your 7th mark. It's 7 marks for one graphing question. That is a lot of marks, and you need to take it very seriously in that case. I'm putting a lot of emphasis on graphing, right? Science, when you're in science or you're doing science now, graphing is important, and they take off a lot of marks if your graphs are not correct. So make sure you know how to graph properly. Okay? So, let's go through the next one. Okay? So that one's done. This one here, I say describe the trend. And I think most people understood what that meant on the quiz. It's those 3 pairs of words. So I ask you, is it positive or negative? And so this one would be positive. So we can write positive down. Right? So positive. Is this strong or weak? Most people would say this is strong. So I would say this is strong. And then is it linear or nonlinear? Well, this more fits. This would fit a line of best fit rather than a curve of best fit. So this would be linear. Okay? And there's our trend. And that would be another mark. Right? Maybe 3 marks if I'm really nice. 1 for each word, essentially. Okay? And there you have it. So this is one question. Total 10 marks if I wanted to throw a mark for each thing. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Okay? So 10 marks. That's a lot. So make sure you know how to graph properly. Believe it or not, this unit's almost done. Right? So you definitely need to understand how do I do it properly. Okay? Number 2. This one here. The table below summarizes the vegetable dishes available at a Backward Hall by grams of fat and grams of fiber. Create a scatter plot comparing fiber versus fat. If you did this question, I want you to type a Y in the chat. If you did not do this question, type an N in the chat. Okay? So if you did, type a Y. If you did not, type an N. Alright, so we have 5 people saying Y, okay, which means we'll just take it up. Okay, so I'm assuming you have this completed. Okay, so we're just going to take it up instead of giving you time to do it then. Okay, so this here, fat is on the left, fiber is on the right. I should edit this. This should be, so we have fiber versus fat, fiber versus fat, Y versus X, which makes sense. X and Y is here. Okay. So let's write that title at the top. It's fiber versus fat. That's one mark. Our second mark is down here. This would be fat in grams. Make sure you write down the units if you have units. On the left side, it's fiber, also in grams. Okay, so we have that. And then now we have to graph it. I'm not going to copy these numbers down. Okay, I'm going to take a look at it very carefully and try to determine what might my best scale be. Now, my question to you, when you look at the fat numbers, can I use a break? Yes or no? Should I have a break? Yes or no? Should I have a break for my fat? Mac is saying no, Anna's saying no, Chris is saying no, and anyone else? Anyone else? John's saying no. Okay, so that's good. You should not be putting a break. And Anna's question is, can't you start from 2? You can, just make you can if you're going up by 2 every time, right? So this becomes a little bit of an issue where you're like, oh, I need to create a scale that goes from, that contains 1 all the way to 26. And John's saying you could start on 1. It's like, absolutely. You can start on any number you want. Just make sure that your spacing is consistent for each one. So this is what Anna did. I'm pretty sure this is what Anna did. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you went up by 2 every time. So in other words, it would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. Okay? So that's probably what Anna did, right? So she started at 2. In other words, what she said was every 1 square is going up by 2. So see how it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, all the way to 28. And that makes sure you include 26. Now, if you follow what John wrote, which is I'm going to start at 1 and then go up by 2, just be very careful with that. Because if you start at 1, you're saying each square is 1, which means you would only have to go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a little bit of an issue. So the best choice I would make would also be this, going up by 2, what Anna has done. Okay, so that's the only reason why I don't want to start at 1, is because that means every square is 1, and that's inconsistent. Going 1, 3, 5, 7 is not consistent with what you want. Okay, so just be careful on that. That would lose you like half a mark. So don't worry too much, but try to fix that. For fiber is a little bit easier. You have to go from 0 all the way to 8. 8 is the highest number. There's a lot of space, right? The issue is though, even though there's a lot of space, we're kind of missing a couple squares. So I'm just going to go up by 1. Okay, I want to use the extra space, but if I go up by 2, I'm not going to be able to fit everything. So that's the only issue that I have. Okay, so this would be probably the best way to draw my graph with scales. Okay, so this is the best way I can draw my graph with scales. So what you're going to do, okay, go through each one. So for cabbage souffle, fat is 3, fiber is 3. So I find 3, 3. 3, 3. First one done. Cabbage souffle, good to go. Butter casserole, 26, 2. 26, 2. So 26 here, 2 is up here, and there's our second one. And so we can say butter casserole is done. And I think I can keep the screen down here now. Okay. Beans medley, 2 grams of fat, 8 grams of fiber. So 2, 8 is up here, and there's a check. Broccoli tofu casserole, 12, 3. 12, 3. So we're looking at 12 on fat, 3 on fiber. And there's our next one. So broccoli tofu casserole is done. Jalapeno corn husks, jalapeno corn husks, 17.1. 17.1. So right here. Eggplant curry, 1.7. So 1 gram of fat, 7 grams of fiber. And check there. Tuber salad, 2.1. So 2 grams of fat, 1 gram of fiber. We have that there. And 4 times baked potato, 6.0. So 6 grams of fat, 0 grams of fiber. And there we have it. Okay? And so there's our trend here, or our graph here. That's 6 marks. Okay? Now, if you have this graph, good job. That's what you want. And that's what you should have for this. Okay? If that's what you want, that's what you should have. All right? So, that being said, once you have that down, let's move on to the next page. We're only going to do 1 page today. So tomorrow will actually be a lesson, not an office hour. So please come to class tomorrow. Okay? So, let's move on. Curve of best fit. You should have 3.5 curve of best fit. Okay? So we're only going to go over this. This should be around 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and then that'll be done. Okay? So, we have here. A weather forecaster measures and plots the temperature every 2 hours on a summer day. The temperatures decrease from midnight to 4 a.m., increase once the sun rises, reach a maximum in the afternoon, then decreases again during the late afternoon and evening. The points do not lie on a straight line, but appear to be related. These data can be approximated by a curve. We call it a curve of best fit. To draw a curve of best fit, draw the smooth curve that passes through as many points as possible. I'm going to try to draw the points a little more clear because this one doesn't really show it very well. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see. So the points that are on the graph that you can that they have here. These are the points that they have on this graph, and they kind of drew a curve that connects it all, right? If I were to draw a line of best fit for this, it wouldn't look very good, right? If I drew my line this way, because that's as close as it's going to get to all the points, like, that's not a good trend. You should understand that this is a non-linear trend. If it's non-linear, you can't draw a straight line. So if we know it's non-linear, we're going to draw our curve of best fit. And so this is our curve of best fit here. So once we have that down, now we can estimate what time of day was certain temperatures. Okay? So for example, using our curve of best fit, we say, number 1, what time of day was the temperature the greatest? So the highest temperature is a point we didn't have, which is this point right here. Okay? This point up here, this highest point here, that's our highest temperature. And what time of day was that? Well, all we have to do is bring it down until it touches here. And you'll see this mark here is our time of day. And so from 12 midnight to 6 a.m., each square is 1 hour. So this would be at 12 p.m. So 1, 2, 3. So this would be 3 p.m. At 3 o'clock p.m., the temperature was the greatest. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. Okay. So at 3 p.m., the temperature was the greatest. And then it asks you, what was the temperature at 5 a.m.? So at 5 a.m., if we're looking at 5 a.m., if this is 6, we look at 5. So I'm going to draw like a vertical line here to indicate 5 a.m. Where it touches my curve, That's going to be my guess. Okay? So that's going to be my guess. Okay? And so you can see that it touches 15 degrees Celsius. So what was the temperature at 5 o'clock a.m.? The temperature was 15 degrees Celsius. Okay? So that's our curve of best fit. We'll go through an example tomorrow when some more people are here, but for now, that's what we're basically covering. Okay? Now, before we end our class today, let's go over some major stuff. Not this page. So this page we'll save for tomorrow. Okay? Let's go over some major points here. Okay? And what I mean by that is let's make a checklist. Graphing checklist. Okay? Number 1. Title. You should always have a title. And in our situation, it's always going to be Y versus X. Okay? No exception. If you never understand how to write a title, you should be writing it as Y versus X. Number 2. Okay? So if your title is Y versus X, excuse me, sorry. Second one should be your axis title. Okay? Y axis. Whoops. And X axis. Okay? So that's number 2. This is 3 marks. 1 mark here, 2 marks here because you have 2 axes. Number 3, scales. Break if you need it. And equally spaced out numbers. Okay? You should have equally spaced out numbers for your scales. That's 2 marks. 1 for your X, 1 for your Y. Okay? So scales. Number 4, plotting your points. And then number 5, drawing line or curve of best fit. Okay, so let me zoom that out. There's your 5 things for your graphing checklist. Okay, number 1, you should have a title, Y versus X. Number 2, you should have your axis titles, Y-axis and X-axis. Usually those are your titles that are already in the chart. Like when we did our fat and fiber, we literally wrote fat and fiber for our titles, right? Our scales, proper scales, a break if you need it, right? And then making sure you have equally spaced out numbers. You are not just copying down the chart. Number 4, you plot your points. And then number 5, draw your line or curve of best fit. That's 7 marks total. Okay? That's 7 things you should be looking for. Okay? So, with that being said, we're going to end our class today and we'll continue tomorrow. Does anyone have any questions on what we just talked about today? Okay? If you know some people that did not come out today, please message them and please let them know that Mr. Choi is upset and disappointed that they did not come on time. And we'll continue tomorrow. Okay? So tomorrow is not office hours. Okay? Tomorrow is not office hours. I want everyone here for class tomorrow, 1 p.m. All right? Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace out.